Die Amish sind ganz hässlich schlimm to the animals. See, this is another common misconception. Get a lot of comments like this. People think the Amish are mean to their animals. But the Amish rely on their animals. They don't have a tractor. Tractor, you can run it hard all day long and, just keep putting fuel in it and it'll probably be okay. You can't do that with a horse. If you do not take care of your horses or your animals, you don't take care of your horses, they're not going to be able to pull the plow. If they're lame, they're not going to be able to travel down the road. So you have to keep proper shoes on them. If you don't feed your cows properly, you're not going to get a lot of milk. And we relied on that milk check. And if you don't feed your chickens properly, you're not going to get eggs. See, everything we did, we relied on our animals. From meat to dairy to eggs, to transportation. We relied on our animals and even work in the fields. Our team of horses pull all of our farm equipment. My dad would always give them plenty of rests. We had a new colt one time my dad put with the team, and he kept one of the older mares out that was always with the team. And she destroyed her horse stall that day because she got so upset that she didn't get to go out and plow with the rest of the team. This horse went nuts, kicking the stall. There was like 6 boards that she broke that day, just from kicking her stall incessantly. We couldn't turn her out in the pasture because she was running around and acting like she wanted to charge through the fences. This horse went crazy when she wasn't allowed to work. And as far as traveling on the roads, we had horses that liked to run. I had a horse once that I drove to the singing, and I had a buggy full of girls. I had 2 of my sisters and my girlfriend with me. And I was sitting on top of 2 of my sisters were sitting there, and then I was sitting on top of one of my sister's knees, and my girlfriend was sitting on the other. I could barely drive my buggy. I didn't have enough room to lean back. And by the time I got to the singing, it was about 6 miles away. My knees were shaking from trying to balance and hold this horse back. This horse was just running this whole time, and I'm trying to hold it back. A lot of people would see that horse and think that I'm being mean to that horse. I'm doing my best to slow it down. And this horse, she would have ran herself into the ground. She was a crazy horse. That's all I can say, but she was a good horse. You just couldn't take her very far, and you had to constantly keep her slowed down. She would just take off. And then we had another horse that loved to race. Whenever a buggy came up behind, he would just take off like a bat out of McDonald's, So the Amish are not mean to their animals because it doesn't pay off. Mänskligt var gedammt i fenjus for the slaughterhouses in Canada and Mexico is data. So you have to realize it's not the Amish people's fault that there are people at these auctions buying the horses and selling them or taking them to slaughterhouses, using them for meat. The Amish don't have that intention when they send them to the auction. A lot of healthy horses that would still be useful to an Amish person get sent to these slaughterhouses. The Amish aren't any happier about it than you are. But it's out of their control. There's nothing that we can do about who buys the horse when we sell it, okay? And if we sell it to an auction, which my dad never did for the reason that he didn't know where it would end up. And my dad never sent horses to an auction. He had an older horse that he sold to a neighbor who had a small farm, and he didn't have use for a team every day. So he just wanted another horse to help him out. And so my dad sold one of his older horses, but the team that we had when I was growing up, my dad kept those horses until they passed away. They were in their 30s, and he raised them from colts. He had their mom and dad, and they were brother and sister. We called them Jerry and Alice after the reading book characters. But this team of horses, they were my whole life. We had the same team of draft horses. We had a smaller farm. We didn't have a lot of draft horses. We had usually 3 or 4, but we had this one, the main team. We had them, my whole time growing up. And yep, they passed away, and they're buried there on the farm. My dad thought a lot of his animals. He had And a lot of Amish people did. They were his livelihood. You know, when you guys talk about, you know, these people that have animals over there that are wounded, okay, so sometimes an accident happens. You know, I've seen a team of runaway horses run into a barbed wire fence. 4 horses hooked up to a disc, and they got away from my brother, and they were coming full tilt at the buildings, and they ran right through a barbed wire fence. I've seen a draft horse run right through a barbed wire fence, knowing it was there. But the other horses weren't in the pasture. So she just holds her head high and runs right through it, and that barbed wire just screeched, and then it tore. She had cuts all over her chest. You know, we didn't do that to the horse, but we doctored it, you know, and we took care of it, and she healed. But I'm just saying a horse is totally capable of hurting themselves to where a person might send them to the auction rather than take a total loss on an animal. And as sad as it may be, that's sometimes the case. You know, accidents happen all the time with horses. I have seen horses run away and hurt themselves.